Okay, looks like everything is good. Let's make sure and find out. I'm kind of watching my phone as I do this. This is a new setup. This is my husband's very fancy setup, so he told me it was time to upgrade. So here we are. Can everybody hear me? Make sure you hear me. I'm using a fancy schmancy microphone, as you can see, a fancy schmancy camera that's located on the wall directly in front of me. So we have some lights up, and then we've got a new angle. So this is all due to him. He's trying it out. I think he wanted to use me as a guinea pig because he's going to be doing some interviews coming up. So I think he was trying to use me as the guinea pig. So I feel really weird because I'm looking directly at a camera on the wall. Usually for the last, how long has Gently Little Sisters been around? 3 or 4 years. I've been looking into a webcam, but then also I can see myself, I can see the chat all at once. So I do have my phone. If I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking at. I want to try to read the chat as I'm doing it. So thanks. So you guys like the way this looks better? I don't know. I don't know if I like it. He did tell me I can switch to a different angle if I get sick of this. So I don't know. Do you like the way it sounds? Does it sound better? Does it sound he swears by this microphone. So oh yeah, Amber. She said I'm going to pretend that's your bachelor's of theology in the background. Yeah. Not mine. Definitely not mine. So all right. Well, thanks for being here. I will try to keep an eye on the chat as I'm doing this. Um, but I am having a guest next week, so look forward to that. I've noticed with a lot of teenage girls that they lack in self confidence and self esteem. And I'm really noticing a trend when it comes to that. And then when I sit back and I watch the relationship or the dynamics between them and their moms, I can kind of see a correlation, such as just in how the mom treats them and how the mom talks to them. And I really truly believe that as women, our relationship with our mom growing up especially, and the things that she, says to us, the way that she interacts with us really helps build our self-confidence or destroy our self-confidence. And self-confidence is not a bad thing for girls to have. It's not a feministic thing. It's being confident in your God-given role. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's being confident in areas that you excel at, such as music or baking or cooking or, organizing. It's okay to have self-confidence in those areas. And a lot of times when a girl just feels like she has no self-worth or feels like she's useless or, it's directly related to either her relationship with her mom or her dad. So I am going to have on Mrs. Holly Robinson, and we are going to be talking about that. She's got 3 daughters. Now, she told me, now my daughters are young, so I don't know how much help I'll be, but she also said that her mom was wonderful when it came to this subject. And I can tell because Holly is a very self-confident and very successful at what she does, whether it's being a mom, whether it's being a pharmacist, whether it's being a pastor's wife. So she's one of my friends, and I really respect and look up to her. She juggles a lot of things and has a lot of irons in the fire, but she's doing great at it. So she's going to be on the show next week, so look forward to that. But I just kind of wanted to put a shout out about that. So, all right, I'm glad you guys like it. I don't know if I like the sound being crystal clear. You're going to hear all my little ums and all my little whatever. So, speaking of self-confidence, right? But anyways, back to the subject on hand. I went to a ladies' conference this past week. It was very refreshing, uplifting, and it was a balm to my soul. So these past 2 years have been insane, and many of you, it's been insane for you as well. We're coming up to when this following January and February comes around, 2 years of this COVID nonsense. So we've got the COVID nonsense going on. It's also been a time of, just personal attacks, whether it came from the atheist community outside or the online community. We've had a lot of personal attacks as well. So while I've done my best to keep my focus on the important things in life, I've been guilty of getting sidetracked and getting sucked in. So this past weekend at the ladies conference, I made a new goal. before I went, I said, Lord, I really want you to speak to me. Give me something that I can improve in my life. Give me something that I can work on going forward. And I really believe that he did give me something. So I decided this past weekend I'm going to limit the toxicity in my life in the form of relationships with people I haven't even met in real life. Social media especially is a farce. It's good for revealing the heart, which I've often said. I don't mind having it for that reason alone. But people who you've never met can claim to know you, make stuff up about you, lie, exaggerate, etc. And people will believe them. So it's time to cut down the people who follow me or see my stuff. So this past weekend, I started going on a deleting and blocking campaign, and I'm not done. I'll continue to delete or block anyone who attacks my husband and I or my friends. Because honestly, I need to keep my focus here on Rock Falls, Liberty Baptist Church, and my real life family and friends. Those who I've met in real life, those who I really know, those who I want to invest in. So any of you that listen, please join my Gently Led Sisters group on Facebook. I don't want to hurt feelings with this. I'm really just trying to whittle it down to people that I know in real life or, people that I've gotten to know and I really, really like. Because there's a lot of, especially like Facebook friends that I click with the stuff they post and we've interacted a lot. We've talked. Some of you have messaged me and I consider those friendships as well. So, if I have interacted with you a lot, if you've interacted with me a lot on my posts, I'm going to keep you around because I do feel like I know you. And even when we went to Florida this past couple weeks ago, we met a lot of people that I had been Facebook friends with and I felt like I knew them already. Like there wasn't even much getting to know each other. We just clicked right away. So, it can carry over into real life relationships. So if I delete you accidentally, I'm very sorry. I'm not doing it to hurt anyone or, hurt feelings, but rather shrink the amount of people that I don't know in real life or who follow my personal social media. So from here on out, I'm only going to accept friend requests of people that I know in real life. But that's kind of one of the goals that I made up for myself. Oh, yes, Joyce. Yes, please do pray for Mrs. Robinson. She is having, it sounds weird calling her Mrs. Robinson. She's just Holly to me. She's having shingles flare up. So those can be really painful. I have had those one time in my life, and it took a long time to get over. So I'm hoping by then she feels better for sure. And you can get sidetracked very easily on social media. And another reason, too, that I am trying to do this is I don't want to get sucked into drama. I've found that a lot of times, even if I just leave a comment somewhere, a positive comment, then a bunch of people get on there and it just becomes a Cassandra bash or a McMurtry bash, and I don't want that going on. So I'm just going to try to limit even if leaving comments, places if I need to. So, but back to reevaluating what's important in my life. In the Bible, we see that Paul says, or rather, the author of Hebrews, whoever that was. We tend to think it was Paul. But he says, wherefore seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your minds. And those verses really spoke to me. I've been too focused on maybe personal attacks, maybe drama that's not even my drama, that I needed to get my focus back. So I sat there and listened to the stories of the ladies. And the ladies that spoke were it was definitely not a conference where there wasn't going to be a tear shed. There was a lot of tears shed. One of the ladies that goes to our church, it was her mom. One of her moms was her mom was the speaker. And many of you, I don't know if you know Sarah Turner, but she lost her sister to cancer. And her mom spoke about that. So here we had a mom who lost her daughter to cancer. And then the other lady that spoke was a missionary's wife for 12 days. So they went to the mission field. They had 8 children. And 12 days into being on the mission field, her husband was shot and martyred. And they had to flee the country. And now for 3 years, she's been a single mom to 8 kids. So just hearing the stories of the things that they had been through and the loss that I've never experienced. I've never lost a child. I've never lost my husband. And it just made my problems shrink, like more and more and more as I sat there and I listened. So I started, as I'm listening to their stories of all this, I started making a list in my head. And I started making a list of the important things in my life and then the non-important things in my life. And I thought we could talk about it and I could kind of just share it. This is more of me sharing my heart and telling you this is what's important in my life and this is what's not important. And every list is going to be different. Don't take my list and make it your own, because my life is different than your life. My situations are different than your situations. And your list is going to be way different than mine. But let me encourage you to just sit and make a list of priorities. Let go of the weights of some of the things we're going to talk about and refocus on what's really important. And, focus on those things. All these other things are just weights that are dragging us down. And they do. When I see things going on sometimes, I remember when my husband was getting some attacks from the atheist community, I could not even read the comments. And if I try, I'm like, what are you doing, silly Cassandra? Because it would get me down, reading all these horrible things about the man I loved. So I just stopped reading them. And one of the people that went after him had a ton of subscribers. I don't even know how many, in the hundreds of thousands. So he put all his focus on, little Pastor Tommy McMurtry in Rock Falls, Illinois. And it's still to this day, people still leave comments on his videos that are from that group. So it's crazy. But I had to put that out of my mind because it does have an impact on you. It has an impact on your mood. It has an impact on your how you go about your day, and then that can also translate into the kids, into your home, and it's just, you got to get rid of that. So, sorry, I'm just reading. Okay. So the first thing, obviously, that I need to get my focus back on, and I feel like we can all go through dry areas when it comes to this, is my relationship with Christ. And that would be personal Bible reading. I would suggest, if you don't have something that helps you with this, to just definitely get something. I have a homeschool. It's a King James homeschool mom's Bible. And it's really cool because it has broken up devotions for every day. And then it has to get through the Bible in a year, it has the scripture. It has like a devotional and then how much scripture you need to read. And then once you get to the next devotional, you'll know that you've read enough. So it breaks it all up, which is a very, very, very easy guide for me. That way, that ensures that you can get through the Bible in a year. I also have, I do have a 1-year Bible. And that one's kind of neat because it breaks up the different chapters, but then it also always includes a psalm and a Proverbs. And Psalms and Proverbs are great for getting you through hard times, getting you through rough patches. So every day you're getting one of those. So I would highly recommend the 1-year Bible as well. Not losing my zeal for him. My zeal for him is very, very important. I do want to be zealous, and I tend to be the type that I am very passionate about my beliefs, whether that be, raising my children for the Lord, whether that be following his commandments, doing what he commands us to do. The Bible does talk about doing the least of the commandments. So I know it is important. And then only worrying about what he thinks. I only need to worry about what the Lord thinks, because the Lord can see my heart. People might not be able to see my heart. Most of the time when people get a feeling about you, or they make up their mind about you, they're not going to change. So even if you have, a clean heart as far as confessing sins, asking for forgiveness, moving on, not doing things again, getting better, they're going to have that, perception of you in their brain. So people can often judge you the wrong way, but God can't. He knows your heart. He sees your heart. And that's just another thing, keeping a pure heart before him. So confessing my faults to him, confessing my sins, trying to do better. I'm always trying to work on myself, and we all should as Christians. None of us have arrived, for sure. And then following his commandments. His commandments are important. And the Bible says that if we love him, we're going to keep his commandments. So just working on those commandments all the time. And then you know what the two greatest commandments are. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and soul. And then also then loving other people, loving our neighbors as ourselves. So, excuse me. And then number 2 of importance is my relationship with my husband. He takes the number 2 spot for sure. And I'm kind of doing these in order of importance in my own life. And like I said, your list is going to be different. If you're a single lady, you don't have a husband, obviously I would encourage you to keep the Lord, number 1 and keep him at the top. But then maybe your relationship with your parents would be number 2, or your relationships, with your siblings would be number 2, or your relationship with your friends or something if you don't have siblings. So every list is going to look different. But number 2 for me would definitely be my relationship with my husband, focusing on the communication aspect. A lot of times we get so busy, and I'm there right now because it's been a crazy few weeks. But trying to take a little time each day just to communicate with him. Whether it's after the kids are in bed or we go on a date or, something to that, but focusing on the communication aspect with him, focusing on his needs, okay, because men do have needs, focusing on the needs of our own husbands. My husband has different needs than your husband. So your husband might really, really value a super clean house. And if he does, then try to make it happen. Your husband might value a hot meal on the table at the same time every day. Maybe he has a really consistent work schedule. My husband's work schedule, he can be here till all hours sometimes, and then sometimes he's not. So I never know what he's going to be doing. But it's not a super big deal. He definitely needs his food needs met. But it's more, what are we having for dinner? And then I'll make it when he gets home. Or rather, Abby will make it when he gets home, something to that effect. But for us, a priority is date nights and a night away, and we have older kids, so that's very easy for us. If you have younger kids, that might not be an option. If it's not, I would suggest trying to make it happen at home, putting the kids to bed early and then ordering your favorite food, bringing it to the house, setting up a tablecloth and candles and, sparkling grape juice or something, and, setting up a date at home. And then being pleasant and not snarky with him. Snarky is like my word for just, being irritable, being grouchy, just being sarcastic. So most men don't like to be talked down to, if your husband's anything like mine. So, yep, kitchen dates. We've done those a lot. My cough is pretty much gone away, except for when I talk a lot. Now when I talk a lot, I get this tickle in my throat. You can probably hear me drinking now. The thing is so clear. But yeah, just being pleasant with him, especially if you have a husband who works in the workforce and then he gets home and he's had a rough day, make home a pleasant place for him. So number 3 would be my relationship with my kids. Focus on putting my phone down if they have a need and looking straight at them while they were talking. There are some kids that it really bothers them if I don't. Allie. She'll be like, Mom, look at me. She really likes me to look at her when I talk to her. Some of my other kids, I can be talking and looking at the phone. It doesn't matter. Talking, cleaning, it doesn't matter. But for her, she wants my full attention. So know what your kids need and then try to offer that. A big one for Sparky. No, Snarky. I guess it would be Sparky if it, sets off a fire, sets off a fight. I guess that would, if it sparks a fight, it could be Sparky. A big one for me that I've determined is leaving online drama out of the home. And this is also very important to my husband. In order to move on from certain behaviors and certain things going on, we need to be able to, first of all, ignore it. And second of all, just leaving it out of the home. So that is one of my goals, is just not talking about it. If there is anything going on, there's a lot of stuff I don't even know about. There's a lot of stuff that I don't even see, and I don't find out till after the fact. But leaving drama out of the home. My kids don't need to be subjected to that. They don't need to know, you know, if an atheist is mad at their dad, or, if an online listener is mad at him over something. They don't need to know that. So I'm going to focus on leaving it completely out of the home for sure. And spending one-on-one time with them, that's very important for me. My kids like to have that one-on-one time. So I try to do weekly dates and rotate them. We go out, get something to eat. We do groceries or Walmart pickup. That's a very important thing. I've talked about it before. And then just more talking, more digging, and more cultivation of relationships, because parenting is so hard. Parenting is so hard. And I feel like I'm on every age of the spectrum right now. I'm parenting adults, and I'm parenting teenagers, and I'm parenting middle schoolers, and I'm parenting babies. And it's exhausting. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It's exhausting. I feel like every minute of my life, I'm thinking of someone else. I'm thinking, how can I help Allie? How can I help Tommy? How can I help Jason? How can I help Abby? How can I, the babies, they don't really need help emotionally right now. But how can I survive? The baby's trying to kill themselves today. Today was a rough day. The babies were messed up, I think, from the time change yesterday, and cranky. And, some days you're going to have it where the babies need you to just carry them around all day. And then the older ones need you to talk to them because they're going through something. And so you're going to have a million irons in the fire, and it's just exhausting. So do I allow my teenage girls to get jobs in order to buy a car? No. No. Abby is going to be 17, 2 weeks, and she is primarily a mother's helper for me. I pay her to watch the girls while I teach piano lessons, and that's pretty much her job. We cover her insurance. She doesn't need a car. We have 4 cars in our driveway, and she can take it when I'm not using it. It's never been an issue. She also does some babysitting for some families in the home if they ever need her. She teaches 1 or 2 piano lessons on the side, and that's it. I don't want her in the workforce. She's very, very beautiful and very sweet and very pure. And I know what goes on in the workplace. My boys have worked in the food industry and also now factory jobs. And I know the type of talk that goes on. And I want to protect her from that. So no, they don't need a lot of extra money. We provide for their needs. They don't need a car. They have plenty of cars to choose from if they need to go somewhere. So, oh, well, happy birthday, sunny side up. We have a lot of birthdays this month. We have Hannah on the 18th, then Abby on the 22nd, then my husband on the 24th. So we've got a lot of birthdays coming up. But then training and discipling my kids. There's so much more that goes into raising kids than just spanking them here and there. There's so much more. If you think that you can just spank your kids and turn out good kids and that's all you need to do, you are sadly mistaken. There's a lot of training that starts young that's not necessarily spanking. And then there's discipling. Discipling as your kids get older. Why do we believe this? Why do we do this? Why do you need to go this direction in your life? Why do you need to stay away from this? Explaining that without just saying, I'm your mom because I said so. Because when they're 18, there's the door and they can hit it if they want. So they need to know why they believe what they believe. So, but then my relationship, number 4 for importance for me, would be my relationship with the real flesh and blood friends. And for me, that would be being intentional to ask about the needs of my church ladies. I'm constantly in tune. I try to be in tune with what's going on at church. I try to notice if someone's sad or upset or having a bad day. I try to notice if everyone has a friend to talk to. I try to sit back and make sure everything's running smoothly and everyone's getting along. And, do we have a problem here that we need to address? Do we need to fix this? What can we do so that we all just mesh, well? Because we're all human beings with all different personalities and different things are going to pop up. So you have to be intentional about that. I don't just show up when church starts and leave before it's over. I'm here way before and I'm here way after. Just really being intentional about seeing what's going on around the church. Um, Texting real life friends. I have a couple close friends that I text often throughout the day. um, and that does take time sometimes. The nice thing about texting is that you can multitask, which I love. That's why please don't call me. If you try calling me, I'm probably going to have a panic attack. Not really, but texting is better for me. And then being the friend to my friends that I want to be. Are one of my friends struggling? Maybe they need a coffee. Send them a coffee gift card. Are one of my friends having a bad day? Send them a card. Are one of my friends, having a bad week? Send them a Bright Box. I love Bright Box. They're just cute little boxes that you can send to brighten up someone's day. So being to them being the type of friend I would want in a friend. If I would want someone checking in on me, I'm going to check in on my friends. If I need encouragement, then I'm going to be an encouragement to other people, if that makes sense. Number 5, for me, in order of importance, is working on myself, my personality. Being socially attentive to others, figuring out their needs, watching their needs, knowing what's going on. Not being offendable in real life. There's a lot of people, you know who they are. You feel like you have to walk around on eggshells. And I don't want to be that way. So I try. It takes a lot to offend me. It really does. You can be blunt with me. You can be honest with me. In fact, I prefer that. I like honest people. I like down-to-earth people because you never have to wonder what they're thinking. It's the quiet ones that don't tell you. That's who you have to wonder about. And you have to try to figure out what's going on in their brain. So I'm not that way. And so I kind of like honest, outgoing, blunt people. So, balancing honesty with grace. I've come a long ways with this. If you guys want to know what I was like at 14, just look at my daughter, Chloe. And she hates it when Abby and I say that, but she makes the same faces as me. She looks like me. We were joking and we told her, my husband said, when we go to Florida, for every time that someone says, you look just like your mom, you have to give all your siblings $1. And so we had gotten back and we were like, so how much money do you owe everyone? And she was like, oh, only like 5 or 6 people said it. And we're like, well, that's quite a bit if you do 5 or 6 times 7. So only 5 or 6 people told her that she looked just like me. But she has my personality too. She's got my competitiveness. She's got my stubbornness. She's very, yeah, she's me. So when I was younger, I didn't quite know the art of balancing honesty with grace. And as I've gotten older, I've learned when to speak. I've learned when to keep my mouth shut. I've learned when I need to approach a situation. I've learned when I just need to stay away. So it's all a balancing act. And my husband's last 2 sermons he did were really good. If you guys want to check them out, it's being a pastor and a pastor's wife. It is a balancing act quite a bit. And for him, obviously more so than me, because he does have to bring sermons that's going to help the whole church family. And he's wearing a lot of hats and doing a lot of things. So when you learn true balance in your life, it does flow a lot better. And then putting others before myself, not focusing on my needs. If I need to meet my needs, I'll meet my needs. I'm not ashamed of saying no to something. I'm not, worried. If I have to say no, I can't do this, I'm going to say no, I can't do this. If I have to just go get a coffee and just relax for a little bit, I'm going to get a coffee and relax a little bit. I learned a long time ago when I feel like I'm on the brink of burnout, that's not a good place to be. So I will acknowledge that I have needs and meet them. But overall, I want to strive to put others. I don't want to be high maintenance. I want to strive to put others before me and put others' needs before me. So work on getting better, getting kinder, weeding out bitterness and resentment and anger and malice. We're all a work in progress, and where I have failed in the past and I have done things that I now don't approve of, I'm always trying to work at getting better and getting kinder, ignoring the bad, moving on, focusing on the blessings of my life rather than the hurts in my life, focusing on the people that I want around in my life rather than focusing on the hurt from other people that they have brought me. So I'm constantly working on that area of my life. I'm growing sweeter, not bitter. I don't want to be bitter. I don't care how many attacks we've been through in the last couple of years. And it's not even that. It goes further back to when you take certain stands that go against political crowds, you're going to get attacked for it. So it goes back 4 or 5 years with all of this. So I don't want to get bitter about that, though. I'm just going to try to get sweeter. And I'm going to try to bless those that curse me and be nice to those that despise me. I'm going to, if someone has hurt me, just put it out of my mind and try to forget that it ever happened. I don't want a running list of offenses against me. I've messed up in the past. I don't want someone to constantly be pulling out all my failures and showing the whole world. So I'm not going to do that with other people. I'm going to treat other people the way I want to be treated. God doesn't keep a running list of offenses in heaven. You know, everything that we've committed, every sin that we've committed is under the blood when we ask for forgiveness. If you're saved and you ask for forgiveness when you mess up, God doesn't say, you're forgiven, but I'm going to remind you of it in a year. You know, I'm going to remind you of it in 2 years. I'm going to bring that sin out and I'm going to show the whole world and everyone's going to laugh at you. So I want people to forgive me when I mess up. So I'm not going to keep up bringing up other people's sins too. And then getting better at following Christ's commandments, not lazier or stale. You know, I don't want to get complacent. I never want to feel like I've arrived. And there's been some years where I have felt that way. Oh, you know, I haven't messed up in a while. I'm doing pretty good. And then you get prideful and you get cocky and God humbles you. So I'm just always striving to get better at following his commandments more and more each day, not getting lazy, not getting stale. And then number 6 for me in matter of importance would be school. Notice that wasn't number 1 or 2 for me, which in the past it might have been. It might have been really, really far up there. We do school pretty much every day, but there are days where I feel we just need to relax a little bit. Today was one of those days. I've had a really busy weekend, a really busy week, and I really wanted to get to my room and deep clean it and organize it, switch things around. So I had the girls help me with that instead of doing school, because then the babies were super high maintenance today too and wanting lots of attention. So for me, school would be about number 6 of importance, but it still is important. These are all, remember, top 10. These are pretty important. But for me personally, on my list, a matter of importance is taking time to make sure the kids understand math every single day. A lot of times, if I'm not intentional about this, especially with Allie and Lana, they will get to where they think they're doing it the correct way and they're not, and then they're missing everything. So I need to sit down, see what they're doing for the day, make sure they understand it, and if they don't, explain it to them. So that's a big one for me. Then also having Lana read out loud to me. She is reading very well now at 7, but she is still struggling with a few big words like supervisor, big words like that. So I need to have her read out loud to me so I can make sure that she is, doing it correctly and she's not doing it the wrong way. So that's important for me, making sure they're practicing their music. Okay, so anyone that has students that are involved in music, please make this priority. And obviously music is important to me, but make sure they practice piano, make sure they're practicing their lessons. If you're pouring music into lessons, it's 1.5 hour lesson a week is not going to do much if they're not practicing. So for me, practicing is a big deal. Keeping on top of screen time. If I don't, my girls will play on that Switch a lot, Lana and Allie. And most of the stuff is like Lana and Allie related, but they're kind of at the age 11 and 7. So I got to keep on top of things for sure. And then Cultivating kindness in the home. I want my home to be a home of kindness. I don't want my kids calling each other names. I don't want them cutting each other down. I don't want them fighting constantly. I don't want them screaming. I don't want them hitting. I don't want them doing anything like that. So cultivating kindness is a big deal for me. I want them to uplift each other. I want them to encourage each other. Anyone that knows me or is around me, and my kids will tell you what is mom's pet peeve. It's when they fight. I can't stand it. So I really try to cultivate kindness in the home. A good day for me is when all the kids get along. In fact, every year on my birthday, I tell them, it's my birthday. You can't fight at all today. No fighting. And I make that a rule, and they know they better not fight on my birthday. If they don't fight, that's an amazing day. So building family memories. This is a big deal for us. We like to do traditional things. We like to, sometimes my husband will come home, especially in the summer, and he'll be like, pack up. We're going to go to Lake Michigan. And then we spend the day on the beach, different things like that. So we are very intentional about doing family things, making family memories that they always can look back on their childhood and think of it with fondness and think of all the fun things we did. We don't want them to ever feel like we missed out because we're in a big family. And there's a lot of cheap stuff you can do with big family if you look into it. So, and then keeping the strife out of the home. And then this goes back to even the online drama stuff. A lot of times if you're constantly talking about wrongs and things being done and all this drama you're seeing, even if it's not even regarding you, it's regarding someone else or something, that just brings a contentious spirit into the home, and the kids pick up on that. And then you'll notice suddenly you're at odds with your husband and the kids are fighting and you're like, what is going on? I truly believe there is a contentious spirit, and the Bible talks about a contentious spirit. And I believe it's catchy. And my husband preached on different types of spirits, like the contentious spirit, I don't know, whatever spirits that are in the Bible. He talked about it during Sunday school a couple weeks ago, and I kind of wish that he would have recorded it and put it on YouTube because it was a really good lesson, and I got a lot out of it. But a contentious spirit was one of those things, and I truly believe it is very contagious. So for me, I'd just rather keep the strife out of the home. I want my home to be an oasis. And for my husband, it is. For him to relax, he likes to just, when it gets dark, so it's really hard this time of year for him. He likes to be in his own home. He likes it to be calm. He likes it to be peaceful. Remember I was talking about our husbands had different needs? He hates it if I'm yelling. And, I am guilty of yelling at times. And when he's home, I really try hard not to because he hates it. He wants the home to be very, very calm. He wants it to be peaceful. And it's not peaceful as mom is on a rampage, yelling at everyone, screaming, throwing flip-flops. I don't throw flip-flops. I've heard of moms who do. If moms are just on a rampage and, so try not to be that way, especially if it's a big deal to your husband. And it's a very, very big deal for mine. So I try to, how do I handle the fighting, if any? I tell him to knock it off. No, I will discipline for fighting. I don't like it. And another thing about being a mom is that you constantly feel like you're judge and jury. So you have to get both sides of the story. You have to know your children very well, and you have to make judgment calls. And then you have to decide the punishment for those judgment calls. So a lot of times you're playing judge and jury the whole day. I feel like some days they just wake up grouchy, and it's inevitable there's going to be fighting. And when that happens, a lot of times a reset. And then Sarah's mom talked about resetting, and I really enjoyed that part of her talk. Just resetting your heart, resetting your attitude. And I really like the idea that maybe as a mom, you need to go in your room, shut your door, and pray. And I've done that before. Pray for patience, pray for wisdom, pray that you will see and make the right judgment call. And then you need to put on some calming music. You need to separate the children and put them in different rooms and give them an activity to do for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And then I find that if everyone could just reset, it helps a lot with the atmosphere and, helps the fighting calm down, and just, tell them, I do not like fighting. You are not going to be fighting. If you fight, here is the consequences for it. You need to learn to work out your differences without yelling, screaming, hitting, biting, whatever. And I've had a couple biters. So those are fun times. Are there flip-flops in your house? Yes, there are flip-flops. In fact, let me show you something. I'm wearing a flip-flop right now. I wear flip-flops. I don't like things getting on my feet. So I wear flip-flops in my house all the time, like 24/7, unless I'm in bed. And I forgot they were on my feet when we went to leave. And it's 65 here today, so it's not cold. So, yes, we have flip-flops, but I don't throw them. I kill bugs with them sometimes, flies. Flip-flops make a really good fly swatter. So, I kill flies sometimes with them. Okay, so that's 6 things. Number 7 for me is social media. So it is in the top 10 just because of this show. This show is important to me. I have been looking for independent fundamental Baptist ladies podcasts or YouTube channels that have right around the same beliefs as us, such as being a stay-at-home mom is a blessing, homeschooling, being a keeper at home, King James, soul winning, modesty. I've been looking for, and I'm not finding like any. So this show is important to me because it is a very specific genre that I think a lot of women are looking for. And I get emails all the time about how the show has helped them. They got saved later in life. Then they started having kids, and now they're a stay-at-home mom, and they had no place, they didn't know where to start because they hadn't been raised that way. And so this show is important to me for that reason. If it's having an impact, it's important to me. Writing. My writing is important to me. I don't get to do it very often. If you guys have noticed, my writing has gone down a lot since having Kelly and Hannah. Kelly and Hannah, the babies. They keep me on my toes and they take away all my free time. So I would like to make writing more of a priority as they get older, as long as I don't have any other babies. So I would like to continue making writing a priority because that is important to me. Music lessons. Music lessons that I teach. I kind of consider that like not really social media, but kind of because it's online, it's virtual, but it's not really social media. But then all the other stuff, the Facebook, the Instagram, that's all fluff. So, that's not really something that's super important in my life. One of the reasons that I got Facebook was because of the show. It was because of Gently Led Sisters. In fact, one of the reasons I still keep it is because of my Gently Led Sisters group. So that's another reason I'm just trying to whittle things down. That way I can stay focused on not getting drawn into things maybe that are going on, online, on Facebook, Instagram. There's not really any drama on Instagram ever, is there? So with Facebook, I like to keep it for my Gently Led Sisters group. So I will try to interact in there quite a bit because that's why it's important to me. But as far as my personal Facebook, I do like having it to write. I write a lot on my Facebook. Maybe something that I won't publish on my blog, I'll write on my Facebook wall or something. And during this COVID stuff, I liked having it to just shout my belief from the mountaintops. And I've had a few people tell me that I did change their mind ultimately. So it did work for good, and some of it made other people hate me because of my stance on the lockdown. But for some people, it did change their minds. So I guess that was good. But it really is fluff. It's really... Amanda. I made Amanda, she's making me laugh. I made Amanda a moderator tonight. She's like, I had to look up how to do something so I didn't mess up. And then she goes and she hides them. Sorry, I just got a good laugh out of it. Oh, Amanda, you're so hilarious. She goes and she hides the sunny side up lady. Okay, I think you got it, though. I think you unhit her. Okay. Sorry. But yeah, all the other stuff is fluff. And then being intentional about not getting involved in strife. I'm going to be very intentional about that. That was one of the things that there's a verse that talks about he who meddleth in strife not belonging to him is like he who taketh the dog by the ears. That's Cassandra paraphrased. Don't quote me on that. But you can look up the verse. It's something along those lines. And it's true. You'll get bit if you do that. So I'm even beginning to find that I just have to be careful commenting on anything because apparently I trigger people. So I'm going to be intentional about not commenting on more, maybe just focusing on my own personal Facebook or the GLS group. So I'm not interested in it. And then a big one for me is, excuse me, not defending ourselves. It's hard to not defend yourself if people are saying things about you, whether that's the atheist community making up stuff or, online listeners or something. But my true friends know me. They know fact from fiction. And if they want to defend me, that's fine. I like defending my friends, so I understand. I understand where that comes from. But God also knows the truth, and he will right wrongs at the end. So when it comes to just defending myself, I don't need to. I don't need to respond to things. I just don't need to. So, but yeah, I'm not going anywhere when it comes to social media. I'm not going to leave social media and find a hole, and hide in, but I don't have to engage in certain behaviors either. I don't have to engage in strife or drama or whatever. So for me, the most healthy thing right now is put my focus on what matters, such as what's on this list, and then ignore the rest. So I always think, my job is to look at everything with a grain of salt. Like, can I work on an area of my life? Is there any element of truth to this? Is there any element of truth to what they're saying? If there is, then I can take that and work on that in my life. But if it's just some outrageous claim that's hilarious, I can just laugh and move on. I'm not going to get bitter about it. I'm not going to try to defend myself. I'm just going to move on. And then probably the last one would be number 8 would be my home. And yeah, that probably would fall in number 8. I don't know. I feel like we have a pretty good system right now. My kids help me a lot. Abby always is in the kitchen, keeping the kitchen nice. I have my kids help me clean. The living room is pretty much primarily clean most of the time. Once a week we'll do the deep cleans, such as bathrooms and mopping, sweeping, vacuuming is done pretty much every other day or every day. So we have a pretty good system going, and it's to the point in my life where we can pretty much have someone over in about 10 minutes notice because it's primarily picked up for the most part. So it's nice when you get to that spot in your life. When I had lots of little kids, it was not like that. I would do a once a day clean. So actually about twice a day, because when they went down for their naps, I would pick up the mess that they had made through the morning, and then they would remake another mess when they got up. And then right before bed, we would clean up everything again. And I always tried to go to bed with a clean kitchen. When I was younger, that was really important for me to wake up to a clean kitchen. Nothing more depressing than walking into dirty dishes, trying to get your morning coffee, and there's just dishes everywhere. So that was always a big deal for me when I had younger kids. But now that they're older and they help, it's even easier. So that would be why mine would be number 8, because it's not something that I really have to stress about or worry about. We just kind of have a smooth flowing, program now, or routine in our house where everything pretty much gets done. So is the laundry always done? No. And sometimes I do get backed up on the laundry. But don't feel bad about paying your older kids. When your kids get older, don't feel bad about paying them to do laundry. I told Chloe last week if she got the laundry washed and folded while I was gone, then I would pay her $10. So that's another way that they can make money from home for sure. So, all right, let me make sure that I'm not missing any chat. I always have neat content, Raquel. Well, I don't know if it's neat. I primarily put like funny stuff on my stories. I primarily put like memes and, stuff that I don't want to like post necessarily, but I put those. Maybe that's why you like it. You like my funny stuff. And then Facebook Marketplace I haven't got much into that, but I need to because I want a treadmill. So that's true. You could always make money. I knew someone that used to do that. She would go around and she would buy like name brand clothes, and then she would sell them on, this is back when eBay was really big. She would sell them on eBay and get back like twice the amount that she even paid for. Sometimes 3-4 times the amount that she even paid for them. So that can definitely be a way to make money if you're looking for it. I haven't had much success in that. I really haven't had much success making a side income until I started my virtual piano lessons. And that's really the best method for me, is just teaching piano. That seems to be the thing that brings in the best side income. So, okay, so then let me see. Let me make sure. Amanda, that's so funny because my husband was doing a live stream with Paul this past week, Paul Wittenberger, on, what was it? Oh, about The Mask, episode 2. I don't want to say too much. But he did, you can check it out if you want to on his channel. But he did a live stream, and I was watching while I was changing a diaper, and I had my phone kind of down on the changing table, and Hannah's foot like deleted a person. And I was like, oh no, because it was like a good person that was agreeing with everything, and then I deleted his message and deleted him, so I had to get it back on there real quick. Oh, cool, Christine. That's really cool. In South Africa. Very cool. It was around Africa. The missionary's wife that I was talking about, she was, I think it was Cameroon that they had gone to. And then he was shot like 12 days into their thing. Let me make sure I didn't miss any more. And Jessica said, great goals. Don't let anyone grind you down. That was a quote I heard from an old friend that always stuck with me. You're encouraging to me. Thankful. Same back at ya. Yes, and Lake Michigan is beautiful. That's like the closest beach to us that we have. So Ashlyn said, I listened to the sermon about balancing early and I recommend it. Amanda said, people who keep account of everything you've done wrong only to throw at you when you're down are miserable with themselves. I would tend to agree. For sure. Sarah, you are your mom's clone, and I saw that more. I could not believe how much she sounds like her mom, acts like her mom, looks like her mom. So it was uncanny. So now I think I know what people think when they see Chloe and me. So, all right. I'm glad, Ashlyn. Okay, so do you guys, what is important to you? I'm going to leave it open for a few more minutes. I'm just about done. Perfect timing. But those are pretty much the things that are important to me. I can't think of, in order of importance, that would be it. And all the other stuff is fluff, or like the verse says, weights that I need to let go of. The weights in my life would be probably just the things that I mentioned. Drama online. Need to let go of, just not talking about it, just moving on, getting better, not bitter, getting sweeter, not bitter, pulling out those roots of bitterness. Sarah's mom told a really good story about how she attacked this hanging bush or something that was climbing up there. Sarah, you'll have to tell me in the comments what it was exactly. About how she had let this bush go and it was starting to knock stuff over. So she knew she needed to get to it. And it was just layer upon layer upon layer. And only the outside was like green and flowery. And as she was digging through the layers, she just, underneath, it was just broken twigs and broken branches. And she started digging them out and realized that that was how her heart was. Her heart had all of this broken, bitter, just anger inside, and she needed to weed all that out. And I just thought that was such a good story. And it was one of Sarah's favorite plants. Honeysuckle bush, that's it. It was one of Sarah's favorite plants, and it was such a good analogy because in my own life, I could see that happening. I could see different instances turning into bitterness if I'm not careful, and making my heart be like the underside of that honeysuckle bush, where maybe I look okay on the outside and, I'm vibrant and I seem happy and, I have it all put together on the outside, but inside, my heart is like the broken twigs of that honeysuckle bush, and it's just, bitter and ugly and dead. And I don't want that happening to my heart. I don't want that happening to my personality. So for me, the best thing is to just root it out. Like her mom rooted out all those dead twigs and dead things underneath, and then, putting it away from me, and just ignoring it and moving on and focusing, putting my focus back on these things. So I would be really interested for you guys to make a list, your own list, in order of importance. What is on your list? What is important to you? And if you want, you could even, we could make a thread about it in the Gently Led Sisters group, or you could just keep it private. Just sit down with your Bible and think about it, pray about it, and then write out a list of things that are important to you that you need to refocus on. Maybe your relationship with God has gotten stale. Maybe you feel very dead inside and you need to rekindle that love that you have for the Lord. Or your relationships are suffering. Maybe you need to ask forgiveness and strive to do better in an area. Maybe you've become cold towards your husband or your friends, or distant, or, you've become very bitter with your kids, or bitter at your husband over something that happened. Just think of your own life and think of your own list, and think of how important it is to putting your refocusing on the important things in life. And all of these things I listed are important to me. They're very, very important to my life. So, but yeah, we could definitely put that in the group, and then you guys, you can tell me you can list in the group what your list is. Your top 10 things. I only had 8, but the top 10 things in your life. So. Wow, 10 years of growth without pruning. And think about it. If we went 10 years without pruning our own hearts, think of how ugly that would be, and how just bitter our hearts would be, and how dead. So it's a constant renewing of our relationship with Christ, and renewing our relationship with others and our husband and those that really matter to us. So, but anyways, so next week we are going to have Mrs. Holly Robinson on, as long as she is recovered from her shingles. Also, I wanted to mention another prayer request. I have a longtime listener. She's pretty much a listener, and she's my friend now. We became friends through texting and different things. Ashley, she comments on here a lot, Ashley LaVille. And her stepfather is in really, really bad shape right now because of COVID. He is really struggling. There's a lot of things going on, and it would take a miracle for him to pull through. And I'm not going to put his name or anything, but if you can think to just pray for Ashley's stepfather, that would be great. I know she would appreciate the prayers. And maybe if God wills, he'll pull through it, but the family's going through a really hard time right now. So, and Ashley just had her first baby, and her and her husband were married a long time, and God blessed them with a baby girl, and she's beautiful. She's fat and chubby and beautiful. So I'm so excited for her, but now her family's going through all this. So kind of put a damper on everything. So definitely pray for her. So, let me see. All right. I think that's about it, guys. So tune in next Monday for Mrs. Robinson. I think that's going to be a really, really good topic. Just kind of trying to work on your relationship specifically with your daughters, and, building them up, not tearing them down. So, tune in next week, especially if you have daughters, and I will see you then. And now let's see if I can remember how to do this. We'll see you guys later.